All right, Patrick. Everybody mocked the notion that Mike Conley was going to unlock Rudy Gobert's offense last night. Now they sat him for the final 4 minutes
Yes.
because of small ball. But Rudy Gobert last night, 9 of 9, 21 points, 14 rebounds. He now has the most games of that nature where he didn't miss a shot and scored like double doubles where you don't miss a shot.
hmm
Since the merger, nobody has more of those than Rudy
Nine
Gobert.
9 shots, total distance 16 feet, but
Yep.
that was okay. That's what you want. That's where you want him shooting from, either next to the basket or above it, one of the two, right? So, yeah, I think that if they can keep him healthy, it'll probably turn out good. And now that McLaughlin's back, he doesn't have to play. You know, but they play him 32, right? I think he played 32,
Yeah.
and but they.
Unknown caller.
Oh no.
I know.
It's
It's a scam.
It's Connolly.
We're back.
it's,
We're back.
There's a
5-1,
prince. That
Five
wants your
one
money.
516. Who the heck would that be?
it's D'Angelo Russell calling to give you one last piece of his mind.
Just sign this piece of paper, and your house worries are done.
Yes, that's true. But yeah, it was pretty amazing that Connolly does look like he certainly fits. He's 35 years old and he's had a huge number of injuries, so that makes you a little concerned. And he can't shoot, but they don't really want that now. I guess they want Edwards and other fellas. You know what they have? They got deep depth. This team, man, like they can go 9-10 deep. We didn't even break out Luca last night, so
Didn't need him last night. No, didn't need him.
Didn't need him. So yeah, it's an interesting looking team right now. And boy, that defense they played at the end. I mean, Kyrie went nuts, 26 points in the quarter. But how about the fact that Edwards and McDaniels had those guys too flummoxed, so that Kyrie, with 3 seconds to go, throws the ball inside because he didn't know what to do with it,
Yeah.
right?
It was like 16 seconds of they couldn't even get a shot up.
No, McDaniels can really guard you, and he was. I mean, he picked it from Luca over. That was Ryan Anderson picked it from Luca over there in the corner too. They finally played some defense on Luca. I wonder how that's going to work, Kyrie and him, because they both want the ball, need the ball. It worked good in the fourth quarter last night, but I wonder how that's going to work.
Yeah, they were. It was kind of weird. Well, at times it was like Luca dominated the first half. I think Kyrie had single-digit points entering the fourth quarter, and then he scored like 21 in the fourth. But then at the end, the last possession was definitely, if you had a pie chart of what happened, 90% of it was Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards just deciding we're going to clamp these guys. But there was 10%. I don't know if they knew which guy was supposed to shoot. They were kind of deferring to each other a little bit, and then nothing happened. Yeah,
it was great. It was a great finish. I mean, you're 26 up. You'd like it to be a little easier, but you knew they were going to make their run. And then they were making shots like crazy, man. And even the guys that you weren't worried about were making shots, and it was a great finish. It was fun to watch. I got a little debate immediately about NBA. Anybody who watched the end of that game and still thinks college basketball is great is an idiot. And somebody brought up the Iowa Northwestern game, the Purdue Northwestern game, which was emotional, but to use a crude term, it was a bowel movement by both teams. It was unbelievable. It was awful. Purdue was terrible. Their guards stink. And Northwestern has the one really good guard. It was an emotional game, and the fans all ran out there. It was a terrible game. It was a terrible game of basketball. And, I mean, there's really – college basketball has just completely gone downhill. And the NBA right now is if they choose to play 80% of their guys instead of 60% of their guys, it's a pretty good game right now. And these guys got a lot of players all of a sudden. I don't know how it happened, but they have a lot of players.
I'm not sure we should be using Northwestern as a beacon for great basketball, even if they did win their first game over a number one ranked
number one team. But yeah, it's it. Boy, you look at their schedule though. Woo, remember we were talking about the easy games that they got to play early in the year?
Yep.
I said, Jace Frederick tweeted this out, and he's right. Where are the cupcakes? You look at the last 20 or whatever it is. They don't have many easy ones. A lot of them on the road, too. So we'll see.
Yeah, 2/3 of their games are on the road to end the season.
And against good teams, which is, but hey, it's certainly a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be 2 weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago when I thought it was headed for a disaster, and Conley had to make a trade that bailed them out, right? He made it look like Rudy Gobert was an asset. So Conley might be the guy to do that for a year and a half, and then they'll have to have found a new point guard. But
yeah.
So our two winter teams here, I've realized the Wild and Wolves are very similar in the fact that there are some nights that you watch them and think, yeah, you know what? I can see it. They're pretty damn good. And then there's some nights where they disappear. And like the end of that game in the Wolves game last night, where you've got two guys who, when they apply themselves, and McDaniels does a lot, but defensively, right, can be absolutely marvelous. And you're like, why don't we see this a little bit more? And the Wild is the same way.
You can't like play that level of clamp defense for 2.5 hours though, or
exhaust
yourself.
But what you can do is you can have a level of consistency that makes sense. This is the problem.
I think this feels like you're dumping your Wild problems on the Timberwolves.
No. When I go to the Wolves, this team has an array of efforts and quality that is the exact same.
Well, now that they have an adult in the room and Mike Conley, hopefully that changes.
I'm just so tired of, you can't expect this. You know what? No, I can. I can expect a lot.
There's 2 points I want to make, none of which ratify what you're saying. Two things I'd like to say. Anthony Edwards had a period in the first half when they had no chance to stop him, and he knew it. He got to the basket, 5 or 6 times in a row almost, and his ability when he gets inside to not run people over and move out of a way and get out of a tough predicament. They were trying to double team him when he got in the lane, and he still got to the basket. So that's my point A. And before I forget this, last night I happened upon the Chicago Bulls postgame show. It's an NBC sports regional, I believe.
Yes.
And there were 3 guys on there. This is their BSN, right? The post-game show. They disemboweled them for 20 minutes.
Really?
They ripped them. They ripped them a 3-guy panel. They ripped them about Aberg. We see this every night. Billy Donovan keeps saying the same thing. He has to say an old white guy, I think it's the guy who used to be general manager, and then a couple of younger brothers, one who's played for him. And it was like 20 minutes of John on crack. It was just absolutely bashing the hell out.
They do the
bashing the hell out of them. It was amazing.
It wasn't quite like post-game Twins. They lost 9-2, but Nick Gordon had a double in the 4th inning.
Yeah. Coming up next, a great catch.
Gordon remains hot. 14-1. Gordon remains hot.
Yeah.
Remember that second period power play? We're going to go back through it because it's the only damn highlight.
It was great. They got 3 shots off. It was crazy.
We all love him, and we never turn it off when we have the opportunity to see Lodge in the post-game show. But because you never know what you know what you're going to hear, but how it's going to be delivered is always interesting.
Yeah,
but
that's amazing.
Lodge would not make the Bulls post-game show after another disappointing defeat. You know who else is killing the Bulls? Joe Cowley. Was their beat runner.
Is he still off Twitter? He definitely.
No, he was back on the other day. He was back on the other day, and they said, I've been accused of being a consistent Zach LaVine basher or a occasional bashes? And he said, no, I'm a full-time Zach LaVine basher because he doesn't play defense. What happened to him? He wasn't a bad defensive. We didn't.
Defense has always been kind of optional
with him. He doesn't play it at all anymore, I guess. So, but it was, man, it was instructive. It was like, it was us guys sitting in Teresa's talking about a local team. It was brutal. It was brutal.
And you know what? I'm sure. Like, I don't know if they have to fight battles with their team partners. They probably do, but more people are going to watch that than.
Oh, certainly. You are certainly expressing the fans' view in that case.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, I was looking at the Wolves fans, and it did almost blow a 26-point lead here. I mean, it was a fun finish, but some guy said, "Thank you to Gerson Rosas. He got us Jordan and Pippen. Anthony Edwards and McDaniels. That's the glue guy. I think that might be a little overstated. The Jordan part particularly, but
Jaden McDaniels is totally Pippen. But we'll see. The jury's out on it.
Yeah, he's a lot closer. But Jordan is. I think we all share this. The NBA, and you see it from Luka too. By the way, the NBA. We worry a lot about attitude, but there's not often when you worry about it with Anthony Edwards. I do see people say, "Why isn't he?" Joe's. Why didn't he do that every night? That's what you're doing here, Such. Judd is why doesn't he do that every night? I thought he was magnificent last night and added defense too, and it was a very fun tilt.
To be clear, I do not expect him to. I'm talking about the team as a whole.
Okay.
We get various levels from this team, and my point is they fluctuate too much. There's I don't expect you to play great. I do expect you to give a damn more consistently than both teams do at times. But Ant is not the problem. Ant and Kaprizov are not the problems. I'm not star picking here. I'm picking on the next group of guys.
Name names. Come on, call them out. Call their asses out. I think D'Lo. I mean, D'Lo is a skilled player, but in that the first game, the Wolves got kind of drubbed. But I think last night was a great example of you have an adult in the room who understands how to get the ball to other people. When the ball comes back to him, he'll knock down an open three. And he understands, instead of pouting and getting mad because Gobert, bobbled a pass out of bounds or something. No, I'm not going to pass to him anymore. No, we're going to go back to him because he's 7'3". Like, it's an adult in the room is what you saw last night.
Now, I don't think anybody on the Wolves bus was dancing down the aisle of the team bus singing Jimmy Crack Corn like Puck was when he leading the team in a chorus of Jimmy Crack Corn when they traded Ron Davis. They were leaving for the airport, and Puck was running up and down the aisles, because he used to always hum Jimmy Crack Corn when he pitched Ron Davis, and Puck was leading the team in a raucous and wonderful send-off tune of this. I don't think anybody was doing that with D'Lo, but I don't think they must have. I don't think they must have a guy like that around. Do you? We'll see, John, by the way.
No. We'll they miss his 3-point hot stretch for 2 months, but
they do.
Conley can hit threes too, so be fine.
Anyway, that was this team has created a better attitude with the fans than I certainly ever expected them to be able to. And
so what, on the Wild side, I need to know the context of so Kaprizov comes out after the game and says, "All right, we need to get in there." I think he used the word greasy and gritty in the same sentence. We need more greasy, grimy, gritty, dirty, soiled goals is what we need.
Yeah.
Rebounds is basically what he's saying, right?
Translation, the rest of you guys suck, so work hard. Don't try to be me. Yeah. That's the translation.
I'll handle the skill. You guys just stand around and put in the rebound.
There's nothing worse than a bunch of muckers who think they're good.
Say, Greenway, big ox, been hurt a lot. Now he's back. Is he doing anything?
No, he's been terrible.
Was he too slow? Is it attitude? What is it?
I think it's a combination, but I think it is more probably upstairs. He's just not he. You know what? We always thought that at some point in time he would mature and consistently start to play hard, and he just doesn't. He just doesn't. It's hopeless now. Like he just doesn't. He's got to be gone. It doesn't help them at all. Like he's this big guy, and they won't scratch him. Dean won't scratch him. Dean's scratching Sam Steele last night, who's fine on the fourth line. But the problem is Dean has to get pushed to the point of such irritation before he scratches a guy. He could have scratched Dumba 2 months before he did, and he won't do it. So, and I do think that the head coach, I'm going to tell you this right now, needs to be a long, hard look. When this season's done, I'm taking a long, hard look.
I thought we were all in on Dean only 2 weeks ago.
I don't think I said I was. I was holding my tongue, but the more I see the lack of the more I see Dean think that things will solve themselves, the more I get suspicious.
Wow. I didn't
is that a calling for a head, or what? How would you categorize what you just said? Are you calling for his head, or are you just putting him on
I'm putting him on the hot seat.
I don't know if Declan watches enough wild hockey to make that declaration. I don't think either Phil or Frill or I do to join you in that. I kind of enjoy Dean. I'm very impressed with Dean's look of disgust when something he doesn't like happens. That's what I kind of like. I like the fact that the hockey is the remaining sport where a coach is still allowed to look with complete disgust at his team. We can't do that in the NBA. We can't do that in the NFL. We can't do that in baseball. But in hockey, you can still see the steam rising from their head when something bad happens. And Dean has a very lordly, gray look to him that the steam just comes right off. It's great to watch.
Dean's got those eyes too. Dean's got the eyes that say, "I would kill you if I could."
Hey, he's a young Bud Grant. He's got the crew guy. He's got the short hair, short gray silver hair, and the same gray countenance. Not quite the same steely eyes, but close. Yeah. Bud would have been a great hockey coach, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Bud Grant.
He could have pierced them. He would have pierced those, being right down there. And, you know what? I got to make one other thing I want to say. You know what I'm missing this winter? I don't hate Duke anymore. Yeah. I don't look up. I'd look up the score and see that they lost, and it doesn't do it. It doesn't lift my spirits. It doesn't really. I don't care. I realize it was just Krzyzewski and nothing else.
I hear Mike Krzyzewski is in a pickleball league. Maybe you can go check out if he loses a pickleball match, you can take some satisfaction.
Duke and Carolina play a couple of weeks ago, and they were both unranked.
Yes. They were both unranked.
Yeah, they're both unranked.
Well, what's the point?
Hey, Louisville in Kentucky. Louisville 1-13 in the ACC. 3-22 overall, and ranked 296th or something like that. I was reading an SI piece on this, and everybody's madder than hell at Calipari too. They've lost 9 games, and they're on the bubble for the NCAA tournament. There are 7 college teams in Kentucky, and none of them might be in the tournament this year. Even all of them. I mean, they've had years when 4 or 5 of them were in there, but. They say there's the SI story 3.5 miles from the Yum Center across the border in Ohio. There's a betting parlor. You can go bet. And they say Louisville fans are coming in there in all their Louisville gear and betting with both fists on Louisville to lose and not cover the point spread. Because they started this year, they didn't cover in the first 9 games or something.
Wow.
Because it took the bookies a long time to admit to themselves this team is terrible.
Yeah.
And Kentucky, was rated 4 in the country when the year started, and they were 1 in the who's the guy that does the ratings?
Oh, Joe Lenardi or Tom Ken Palm.
No, Ken
Pomeroy.
Palm. They were number one in the Ken Palm, and they're on the bubble to make the tournament, and everybody in Lexington is
We
mad
should
at
ban
California.
in college basketball and college football no preseason rankings at all. These are
Yes.
19-year-old kids. Let them play in basketball. Let them play until like the middle of January, and then rank teams.
And
do
then
an
rank
ESPN special if you want to.
Then rank them every 2 weeks. I mean, Alabama's number one. Purdue was terrible. They're not. I mean, their guards are no good. They were number one. They get beat. Now they look and say, okay, who's the last team not to lose?
Right.
And it's Alabama. So we're gonna. Houston was number one. They were, Reedy Houston. They beat Tulsa like 56-54 or something like that, and stayed number one. Do you think that's the number one team in the country? It's awful.
Problem is, I don't care anymore. That's my problem. College basketball used to be fun. Like you would dip in March and it would be great. I don't know that I can now get excited for the tournament based on the fact that the teams that traditionally are fun to hate, to your point on Duke, are gone. And it's also just awful.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's hard to watch. I've tried to watch some. It's just hard to watch.
Meanwhile, our Fighting Gophers apparently aren't going to play tonight tomorrow night, because there was a shooting at Michigan State on the campus. So was it fatal?
Yes, at least I don't know all the details, but there's one woman, a 21-year-old student. She's on campus for this shooting. She was also in the building for Sandy Hook in 2012.
My goodness. So anyway.
So yeah, they're not gonna. By the way, if you want to watch good college basketball, the St. Thomas Tommies are battling. They're a game above 500 in conference, and you can find them this Saturday at home against Western Illinois. I don't even know if we're scheduled to give this plug, Declan, but you can find all those games on 1500 ESPN,
right?
TommySports.com.
Hey, and they gave highly rated Oral Roberts the power of the league, the team that made a tournament run. They battled the other night. They lost at home to them, but I think it was 85-75, something like that. They were close to them at the end. They got the best freshman guard in town, I can tell you that. This kid from Milwaukee is better than any of the Gopher freshmen. He'd be the starting point guard for the Minnesota Gophers, which is not
the
highest
bar,
praise possible. I mean, that's not like saying we have Pippen and Jordan. It's not like saying that. I'm just saying he would be a lot more fun to watch than what we're seeing from the Golden Gophers. That's for sure.
Maybe at some point Ben Johnson can pluck some St. Thomas players and make a run in the Big Ten. So.
Hey, who did the St. Thomas hockey team beat? They had a big
Northern Michigan.
Had a win. They're winning a few games this year. I was talking to the last week. I was talking to Mike Carroll, who's the Gustavus Division III women's hockey coach, but comes from a big long hockey family. He thinks St. Thomas is going to be a hockey power. He said,
"Yeah, oh yeah."
He said they're going to get those kids that are going to St. Cloud and Bemidji and places like that. The Twin Cities kids, you're going to get a chance because they have scholarships in hockey, and when they get fully funded with scholarships, he said, you got a chance to go get that St. Thomas education or go up and to Bemidji and play the same schedule. He thinks a couple of years they're going to be a powerhouse in hockey, and they get their new arena too. So.
Pat, their head coach Enrico Blase, he was at Miami, Ohio forever before he took the St. Thomas job. And if you love some culture, go talk to Enrico Blase about the brotherhood at Miami, Ohio. That was all about the culture. That was all about unity and family and one.
Oh, good. That's good. Hey, Rico, by the way, they'd take him back at Miami. Have you seen how horrible they are? And they're the worst college hockey team in the country since they fired him. So. You and I shouldn't know this much about college hockey.
I'm going to St. Cloud because if I'm going to play puck, I want to drink too, and I have a far better chance.
I don't think that's a problem of Bemidji either. I'm guessing.
No, you're probably right about that. St.
Not.
Thomas, I would guess it might be a problem.
They got one of the Saratori brothers as a coach up there. They might have a beer with you.
He's great.
They're some of the great Iron Rangers of all time. Him and Frank out in Air Force. Those guys are both nuts. So You know, that's the upset of undignified Frank Serratori getting to coach Air Force for like 15 years. How he maintained enough decorum to stay there, we don't have any idea.
Yeah. All right, Pat. We got to run. We got Doogie waiting to unleash some scoops here, and so we'll catch you later this week.
All right, because we're only like 3 weeks away from the NHL trade deadline, right? And then the playoffs start in 4, right? That's about how that works.
Oh yeah, we're going till June. Don't worry about it.
Oh wow.
All right. See you.
All right. See you, Pat. All right. Rapping with Reusse Unchained podcast feed. You can find all of Pat's work and ramblings.